Multilingual Redditors, what is your they didn't realize I spoke their language story? The people at the Chinese food place on my campus spoke Chinese to the door exchange students. But even though I spoke Chinese, I just always spoke English to them, since I have an accent when I speak Chinese. But one day I got all meat no rice, since I had a rice maker at home. And when I was paying, the lady says to the person beside her, fat ass, wants meat no rice. And I responded in Chinese, actually I have rice at home. They didn't charge me for the order and started giving me a bit extra whenever I go there. When I was teaching kids in Japan, I would only respond with English only to their Japanese. I did this for a few reasons. To make them think I didn't speak Japanese. To make them use English more. So I could scare the crap out of them once I decided to speak Japanese. Some kid in English school didn't do his homework. When I asked him for it, he told me in English that he forgot his book. He then turns to his classmate and says in Japanese that his book is in his bag and he didn't do his homework because he couldn't be bothered. I said nothing. Come the end of the class, his mother is waiting in the reception along with my Japanese manager. So I tell the manager in English that he didn't do his homework. I hear the conversation between kid and mom, with him giving the same forgot bullshit. So, I just say in perfect Japanese, why are you saying you forgot the book? When I asked you in the class, you told the other student that it's in your bag and you didn't do the homework because you couldn't be bothered. I'm sorry, didn't you know that I could understand Japanese? Mom opens the bag, finds the book, smacks the kid in the head with the book, and tells him to sit in the reception doing his homework. Kid cries. All is good. When I was stationed in Korea, I was getting a haircut and the hairdresser had like an assistant or a new person helping her get me seated and prepared. She says to the main girl, he looks like a baby. I have a baby face and was like 22 at the time. I responded in Korean with, I looked like a baby? She was really startled and embarrassed and noped out of there for the rest of the haircut. The main hairdresser took advantage of being able to talk with me in Korean, though. I was in an elevator going back up to my apartment after working out some 2 years ago, and I had a man bun at that time. There were 6 other guys in the elevator speaking Arabic, so I just listened as I usually do. Then, one of the guys goes, haha, look at this guy's hair. It's ridiculous. I turn around and respond, you want to say that again? The 5 other dudes proceed to die of laughter with one of them screaming, I knew you were Arab. I knew you were Arab. I ended up laughing alongside them to their one friend who felt super awkward. My family and I went to Sri Lanka for 2 weeks to see where my mom grew up and general beach stuff. For some reason we were like the only people in the hotel we were staying at aside from a wedding party that left a day after we got there. A few days in there was another family staying there, I believe from Suriname, and we were all chilling at the pool and decided to play a game of water polo against each other. Things got exciting, and one of the daughters yelled out something in Dutch like go for the big fat guy. My Dutch dad replied, what big fat guy? And everybody laughed. Just a simple story, but it was pretty sweet. I was on a tour bus with my grandmother going to Oahu in Hawaii. My grandmother spoke fluent Italian as both her parents were Italian immigrants. 2 young women behind us were speaking to each other in Italian, probably assuming none of the other tourists could understand them. My grandmother told me, I don't speak but a few words in Italian, that they were insulting everyone on the bus. She let it go on a while, but just kept getting angrier and angrier as the ride went on. Finally she turned around and told them off, telling them they should be ashamed of themselves for being so rude. They looked so embarrassed and apologized to her profusely. Getting told off by a grandmother on a tour bus was not what they expected. Was in Germany, and a middle school teacher asked me to come in as a guest for one of her English classes. The teacher introduced me, I said hello, and that I was from the US and happy to be in their class. The teacher said, so do you have any questions in English for an American? What do you think an American is like? One of the kids near the front says in German, kind of under his breath, but definitely loud enough that most of the class can hear, fat and stupid. The kids laugh. The teacher turns bright red. I don't know what to do, so I just say of course, many Americans can speak German in German. The kid almost shit himself. He looked like a baby deer that had wandered on stage at a Beyonce concert. I thought he was just being a dick and had intended me to understand what he was saying. Apparently though he actually hadn't thought through that an American in Germany in their language class might actually speak their language. I'm fluent in Spanish and was in a bank line in Lima, and these two early middle-aged women were in front of me have a mostly quiet chat. One was telling the other about this new young guy at work she was banging and describing all the crazy sex they were having, going into detail about all sorts of stuff. The other wanted to know what he looked like, and she was kind of describing him badly, and she kinda did a sly look around the bank, waited a few seconds, and said in Spanish, "He looks like this guy behind us, but with blonde hair, much better looking, and a much better dresser." She did a good job of not gesturing towards me when she said it, but it didn't stop me from hearing it. So she goes back to discussing details about hooking up with him at work, and they don't notice the line has moved. And so without a warning throat clear I just say, "We all love the details back here, but can you move forward?" She went white as a ghost and they didn't really talk for the rest of the wait. It was hilarious. I went to a psychiatric emergency ward once and asked for help and if they were comfortable to speak English. I understand Danish, but have a hard time making myself understandable in it, and didn't really feel like an idiot at a crucial time of my life. I stayed there for 4 days without anyone realizing I knew what they were saying about me right in front of me. 2 of the nurses thought I was cute. 1 doctor thought I was lying all the time. A patient thought I was a spy for the staff. A lot happened in those 4 days. It made my stay way more enjoyable than it should have been. We had a large family reunion dinner at a restaurant and we were all sharing stories. My funny uncle was telling us how he used to pretend he was deaf and his sister would translate. To prove it, he asked the waitress to get the manager. When he came over, my uncle started signing to him with made up and exaggerated gestures. My aunt told him that the food was good and the server was excellent. All the while the manager just smiled and nodded. When they were done talking, the manager said in sign language he spoke ASL and knew it was bullshit. We blew up laughing and my uncle's face turned beet red. As someone who is fluent in ASL, I don't know that I could have kept a straight face. Props to that manager. Cable guy here. Being a white guy, most people don't realize that I know how to speak and write in Spanish. I run into so many situations where I can run under the radar and just do my job without someone knowing that I can understand them completely. Every once in a while I subtly let them know that I can understand them. I was doing an installation at a house where the family only spoke Spanish and the order requested for a Spanish speaking tech. I showed up to the door, the husband opened the door and automatically assumed that I couldn't speak Spanish. His English was near perfect, and he greeted me, showed me around, and where he wanted everything. He let me do my work as he walked into the other room, where his buddy was, and automatically started talking shit about me. I can't believe they sent a reffing white guy who can't speak Spanish. I specifically told them to send someone who can speak Spanish, so I didn't have to deal with this bullshit. He's going to be lazy as F and not do the job right. I bet the asshole is going to expect a tip after doing a shitty job and I'll have to fix it myself. The dude went on and on the entire time I was there, talking shit the entire time. At the end of the appointment, I was pissed. I didn't show it, but he thought it was funny to talk shit in front of me, smile on his face, while acting like he wasn't saying anything about me. So I looked at him, told him in Spanish, "Your installation is done. If you have any questions you can call the company yourself and they'll be able to get someone who speaks Spanish to help you." He looked at me with a shocked expression, so I continued, "Next time you should ask if the person can speak Spanish before talking shit." His buddy hit the floor laughing as I left the customer standing there feeling like a jackass. My cousin is a big white guy who studied for 2 years in Japan during college. He worked for one of the head of Honda America for a few years. When the head guy learned that he spoke Japanese, he would make sure my cousin was in all the meetings and phone conferences with the Japanese branch. My cousin would listen to everything the Japanese would be saying to each other and report it to his boss during breaks. As such, the boss looked like a psychic to the Japanese, because after break he would address their concerns without being prompted. The boss made mad bonuses every quarter and always funneled a bunch of that to my cousin. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe.